This hour, obviously, you got to ask the question whether or not we will one day be talking about Vietnam as a true high-tech hub. Now, it's true that Apple has components made here, Sumitomo, Sharp, and Intel. Lenovo has had component making here for a while. But really, it's that final assembly that is so hard to do, requires so much education, that vocational schools like this one are in huge demand here. The government has vowed to train 2 million kids over the next several years. We talked to one of the professors about this training, and he said because the students who do graduate are getting snapped up like mad.
For mechatronics, industrial control, automobile, welding, cutting metal, more than 90% get a job after 6 months from the time they graduated. 90%, I'm sure, very sure, for that skill area. But for example, accounting is not easy to get a job. IT not easy to get a job also. But for technical area, very easy to get a job. And a lot of companies need more people.
One of those companies is Samsung, guys. That's one of the big stories here in Vietnam. They came here a while ago, back in 2014, invested $3 billion in an industrial park, 250 acres, 60,000 employees, which is now one of the biggest facilities to make cell phones anywhere on the planet. But the question will be whether or not, guys, that is the exception rather than the norm. Because although you do see, for example, these reports and rumors about, well, what would Apple one day move some of its production out of China, out of Foxconn into other countries, certainly possible, but the work that Vietnam and other countries would have to do to get there to meet that demand is still a long ways away.
Carl, just great work, great content all day today, just really fascinating information. I'm wondering about another piece of the trade puzzle here and supply chain puzzle, which is logistics and transportation, what it would take if more manufacturers are coming into Vietnam to actually move those products to other parts of the world.
I thought of you today, Morgan, because we did go to the port and saw all those containers and realized what a big deal it is to have a port that is a deep water port, where you don't have to get your goods to another market to get on a bigger ship to get to the United States. So the deep water port is what Vietnam has been working on. But again, that's a huge challenge. It's something they haven't had to do so far. And to get those things up and running is going to take about 3 years. So is this whole boom going to last through at that time? What if we get a G20 deal this weekend or sometime in the next 6 months? What happens to all those investments and those ideas then? So it's really, Vietnam is at a really interesting crossroads, whether it's the production or the delivery, which of course you know so much about.
And that's the question that I have, Carl, is around stability. Because we didn't do TPP and because nobody knows exactly how long this trade war with China will last, how reliant does that make Vietnam on getting better trade agreements with anybody who could then serve to fill that demand hole that could emerge if things clear up between the U.S. and China?
Yeah, I mean, believe me, the lesson of TPP is not lost on anybody here. And in fact, just in the past couple of weeks, they're making final arrangements to get a free trade agreement here with the EU. Which is something that doesn't look, likely in the near term with a bunch of other countries. So Vietnam, I think, is overall playing it very safe. There's a look at what they already ship: a lot of machinery, a lot of apparel, a lot of footwear. But there is sort of this dichotomy, guys, between the stuff that's easy to make, the T-shirts, the sneakers, even, as opposed to these cell phones and final assembly high-tech products that are much harder to build. That said, I will argue one last thing. They're very big in auto parts. If you need brake cables, the emergency exit signs that you see in a movie theater or in schools, those are all made here. But to get to the level of what China's been able to put together over the past 20 years, that's where they are. They're very much, they have that in their sights, but they realize what it's going to take to get there.